Good evening, everyone. At this time, I would like to call the Wildwood School Building Committee meeting to order. It is Tuesday, March 17th of 2026. Promptly at 6:30, we are officially in our first meeting here in the Great Hall of the new Wilmington Town Hall School Administration building. So welcome, everyone. I will say that we're still getting used to the technology and the acoustics in the room. So if I'm talking a little bit loud for some, I apologize. I just want to make sure that people can hear me adequately. So I will refine my tone as I work through and just see how things go with the acoustics. But I do want to welcome everyone and call the meeting officially to order. At this time, we do need to conduct a roll call. I do not see that Vivian is here. So I'm going to proceed with that. Diane Allen, I know, is participating remote. So Diane Allen.
Here.
Greg Bendel.
Here.
Kate Bissell.
Here.
Kevin Kyra. Michael Comosio.
Here.
Justin Couchet.
Here.
Mary Ann Galezo.
Here.
Nicholas Golden.
Here.
Christine Holleran. Dennis Kelly.
Here.
Lillian Maselli.
Here.
Paul Melorani.
Here.
Craig Minor.
Here.
Christine Murray.
Here.
Judith O'Connell, Chair here. Christine Prendergast.
Here.
David Ragsdale.
Here.
Stacy Scott.
Here.
Eric Slagle is an excused absence. Dr. David Thompson.
Here.
Stephen Turner.
Here.
Vivian Verabedian, Vice Chair. Okay,
Madam Chair, it does look like Christine Holleran is on the vote.
okay.
Shane's on remotely.
Okay, yeah, Paul.
Yeah.
Okay, so at this time, based on the nature of the agenda, I'd like to just deviate for a brief moment, and I'd like to kindly ask that we go around the table and make introductions. We are going to be having a introduction later on in the program, so I just want to start with introducing everybody at the table. So if I can start with Mr. Turner and work around the room, that would be appreciated.
Stephen Turner, Wildwood School Committee.
Mike Rossio, I'm Northside parent and a member of the Permanent Building Committee.
Dennis Kelly, Superintendent of Public Buildings.
Kate Bissell, Principal of the Wildwood School. Christine Prendergast, I'm a parent and I'm also on the Interior and the PR Committee.
Justin Couchet, Northside parent. Dave Thompson, Interim Superintendent.
Nicholas Golden, Wilmington School.
Christine Murray, Director of Student Support Services.
Greg Bendel, former selectman, Westside parent.
He loves saying.
Greg DiCarlo with Left Field, Project Management.
David Sandin, Left Field.
Judy O'Connell, Assistant Town Manager and Chair of the project.
Chad Leclerc, PM with Fontaine. David Ragsdale, a member of the school committee.
Joel Kent with Fontaine Brothers. Greg Minor, Westside parent. Paul Melorani, Permanent Building Committee.
Chelsea Matry with Fontaine. Dan Gallioga with Fontaine.
Dave Fontaine.
Ronnie Phillip, Durham Villiers.
Lee Doran Whittier.
Lillian Maselli, Select Board.
Okay, and for our remote access, Diane Allen, do you want to introduce yourself, please?
Diane Allen, Permanent Building Committee.
Craig, can you help me with who else we have?
I see Stacy Scott.
Yep, Stacy Scott, principal of the Woburn Street School.
And then Christine.
Hi, I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. I was just having audio issues. Hi, I'm Christine Holleran. I'm a kindergarten teacher at the Wildwood School.
And Mary Ann Galezo.
Mary Ann Galezo, Finance Committee.
Thank you. I believe that completes everyone. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 2, which is the approval of minutes. The minutes from our last meeting were included in the meeting packet distributed on Friday and are labeled as item number 2. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the school building committee meeting held on February 10th, 2026 as issued. Do I have a motion? Motion's made by Christine. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Yes, David.
I have three corrections for the minutes, all on page 7. They're all just spelling issues. In the second paragraph, that begins Mr. Turner inquired. This is on page 7. The second line there says a holistic building strategy with a W there, and I would suggest we use the traditional HOL spelling. And then in the next paragraph, Mr. Kyra's name is misspelled twice. as CIAI rather than CAI. So I would ask that those corrections be made.
Okay. So we have a motion, we have a second, we've had discussion with the spelling, no substantive changes. At this time, I would entertain a roll call vote for that approval. Diane Allen,
Yes.
Greg Bendel,
Yes.
Kate Bissell,
Yes.
Kevin Kara, Michael Camosio,
Yes.
Justin Couche,
Yes.
Christine Holleran,
Yes.
Dennis Kelly,
Yes.
Lily Maselli,
Yes.
Paul Melorani,
Yes.
Craig Minor,
Yes.
Christine Murray,
Yes.
David Ragsdale,
Yes.
Stacy Scott.
Abstention,
Can you repeat that, please?
sorry, abstain.
Abstain, thank you.
Stacy, it's very hard to hear you. I don't know if you can get closer to your microphone.
Okay, so Eric Slagle is an excused absence, Dr. David Thompson,
Yes.
Stephen Turner,
Yes.
Vivian Garabedian,
Yes.
Mary Angelezzo,
yes,
Nicholas Golden,
Yes.
Judith O'Connell, Chair, yes, Christine Prendergast. Motion carries, thank you. Moving on to item number 3 in the agenda. Now I'm going to turn things over to left field to present the invoice summary and budget update. At this time, I'd like to introduce David Sangan.
Thank you, Judy. Before we move into our monthly housekeeping items, this is essentially invoice approvals. I'd like to update the committee that Rob Day from Fontaine. He has recently moved on from Fontaine to pursue other opportunities. Probably a bit of soul searching as well, which I think many people can relate to at different points in their careers. I connected with Rob a few weeks ago. I wished him well and wish him the best in whatever path he chooses next. And, you know, I'm going to personally miss working with Rob. We had a great relationship with Rob and Chad on a different project. But with that said, we'd like to welcome back David Jr. To the team. And he's along here with Joel Kent this evening. And David, I'll let you introduce Rob's replacement.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Nice to be back. I never left, by the way. But yeah, as David said, you know, Rob's been on 7 or 8 years, moving on to some different personal goals, rapid form, great guy, great member of the team, represents us well. Likewise with Pam, who's with me, and Joel, our COO, along with me tonight, and Chelsea. For this project, right, we want to be very mindful of the priorities of the project in terms of a team member that's been finding that you could fit. Pam checks all those boxes and then some, is currently working on a very similar size MSBA project. That's well along, that will turn over for this year. So familiar with MSBA, public construction, all that stuff also brings a lot of project experience on occupied campuses, on very, you know, difficult logistical sites. And on campuses that require a ton of communication, coordination, neighbor orientation, all that stuff. So, you know, brings a great skill set to the table, has my full support, Joe's full support, as part of the Fontaine team. And, you know, I'm sure will be a great member of our team, helping to lead the project. So I'll let Pam introduce herself.
Great, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to join you here tonight for this meeting. I'm looking forward to working with all of you and certainly the team that's in place here with left field and Dora here, and of course our my colleagues at Fontaine. For the 30 some odd years that I've been involved in the construction industry, it's focused in the academic sector. So I've spent quite a bit of time, as Dave has mentioned, on logistics, on safety, and primarily in communication. So working with you all and also the residents of the town to make sure that we're delivering the projects and everybody is working together as we focus in on getting this project done by the end of August of 28. So I look forward to it, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. So on behalf of the town of Wilmington, I'd like to welcome you to the project. We've spent a considerable amount of time talking at the leadership level about the transition. I want to just share for the people that are listening at home, the people that are around the table and in the room. We as a team feel very confident with this change. Obviously, we respect the role that Rob had for the time that he was here, but we are equally enthusiastic about working with Pam, and certainly her qualifications speak for themselves. And certainly we're a welcoming group and we really look forward to working with you. So welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Back to you, David.
Thank you. All right, so the invoice that you see on the screen, that is invoice summary number 25 for review tonight. It was included in the meeting packet that was sent out last Friday, labeled as item 3B. The current summary includes invoices from Bill and Whittier totaling $714,460.06. Invoice from Fontaine totaling $26,666, and an invoice from Left Field totaling $60,800 for an overall invoice packet totaling $801,926.06. This was reviewed earlier tonight within the finance working group prior to this meeting. And at this time, I'll transition over to Dennis to recommend a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve invoice summary 25 in the amount of $801,926.06. I'll second that.
Is the motion's been made and seconded? Any discussion? Hearing none. Vivian, roll call vote, please. Please note that, sorry, Kevin Carr excused absence, Eric Slagle excused absence.
And Christine Holland is absent as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm here. Sorry, I'm here.
Diane Allen,
Yes.
Fred Bendel,
Yes.
Kate Bissell. Yes. Michael Pomosio,
Yes.
Justin Couche,
Yes.
Mary Ann Galesso,
Yes.
Nick Golden,
Yes.
Christine Holleran,
Yes.
Dennis Kelly,
Yes.
Lillian Maselli. Yes. Paul Malorani.
Yes.
Craig Minor, Christine Murray. Yes. Judy O'Connell,
Yes.
Christine Pendergast. Yes. David Ragsdale,
Yes.
Stacy Scott,
Yes.
David Thompson,
Yes.
Stephen Turner,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Motion carries.
Thank you, Vivian. The next item is the total project budget update. What we have shown on the screen is a condensed version, but the full version was included within your packet, identified as item 3C. Again, we show this every month just for transparency. Overall, the budget's the same. The only difference here is that from month to month, you will see the difference of expended versus unspent. So that's it with the budget. Any questions? Assuming none, we'll go to the MSBA DD submission under design update.
Okay, so item number 4A for the MSBA DD submission. So the project team has been preparing to make the design development submission to the MSBA on March 20th. And a draft of the package was shared with the committee last Friday labeled item number 4A. And Left Field will now give a brief overview of what is in the packet, and then we will seek a vote by the committee. So at this time, I'll turn it back over to David.
Thank you, Judy. As everyone recalls, last month, we presented a draft table of contents, just as a precursor to this committee that we will be seeking approval at tonight's meeting. And a draft of design development in the committee packet. It was provided based on different sections for ease of review. Again, it was a draft, and I think that was sent out, might have been Friday night, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, but sent on Friday. And as a codified document, I did go through it and I counted it's north of 2,700 pages and probably still slightly growing. It could be off a few pages. So this evening, I'm going to briefly walk the committee through the highlights. I'm not going to go through 2,700 pages of it. And it's basically the highlights, what I see as, from my background and experience as an OPM, what I believe the committee needs to know to approve a DD submission to the MSBA. So, speaking to slide, if you can go to the next slide. Thank you. So, on this slide, beginning with page 1 of the table of contents, Doing Whittier and Left Field collectively provided an introduction, an executive summary. If there's one section of the submittal to read, I'd read the introduction. And in this section, it effectively summarizes the entire submission, the highlights and the key information that we think would be most relevant to the building committee. Following that, there is a Left Field prepared series of narratives that we've put together. It addresses various reviews conducted as part of the DD phase or the design development phase. They include reviews of the drawings and specifications, project schedule, scope confirmation, budget updates, early bid packages, and value engineering opportunities. Next slide. And then Dawn Whittier then provided a series of their narratives covering topics such as their updated work plan, building system descriptions and narratives, code analysis, sustainability, green initiatives, and site assessments. And then for moving on with the table of contents, Dawn Whittier also provided narratives on several project items as well, including proprietary items that are being considered, interior color theory, which an update will be provided tonight, as well as various building system calculations and narratives related to security, access control, and overall facility systems and operations. And then next slide. No, this one still, thank you. And then the last part is a assembly of 25 appendices. It might be 26 now, but I could be off one or two. And they vary from the appendices. The background is permitting, cost estimating, overall project coordination efforts. Also included MSBA comments from the previous submission, building committee meeting minutes and presentations, technical studies and reports, such as traffic, geotech, environmental, hazmat, wetland, permitting, regulatory approvals, approvals from agencies such as DESIC, the Mass Historic Commission, Office of Inspector General. As I indicated, cost estimating documentation, cost reconciliation, comparison forms, which is very prescribed MSBA forms, an updated budget for the MSBA project schedule, value engineering opportunities. And that's it. So it's basically the technical backup and supporting documentation for the design development submission. Next slide. So the takeaways. So I'm going to summarize the takeaways is that first, the project remains fully consistent with the scope approved by the voters. The overall gross square footage remains the same. Educational program remains the same. Construction phasing remains the same, and the sequence of operations. The schedule is the same. The second part is that the project team completed 2 independent construction cost estimates, one prepared by PM&C, which is a sub-consultant for Dawn Whittier, and the other estimator was obviously Fontaine. So as shown on the table, schematic design construction budget was approximately $137.7 million. The updated design development estimates came in at $135.4 for PM&C and $137.6 for Fontaine. A delta between the two estimates, 1.62%, which essentially, I know it's $2 million of a difference, but it's essentially the same estimate. We are utilizing, for the purposes of the DD submission, the Fontaine estimate as the control estimate for design development. So while it is showing that technically it's under $114,000, again, the takeaway I would say for the committee is that the project scope remains unchanged. The schedule remains on track. The project continues to be on budget. I would not report under budget, just on budget, as we move forward into the CD phase. So the last thing before we move forward, I'd like to just briefly acknowledge that we all know that there's been some volatility in some global commodity markets, particularly with the price of oil, certain metals, and it's all due in part to certain geopolitical conditions. I'm choosing my words carefully. That said, the project team has accounted for the potential market fluctuations within the estimate, looking specifically at the Fontaine estimate and utilizing their estimate as the control. They are currently carrying 4.35% in escalation, or essentially $4.7 million. In addition to escalation, The estimate includes a 5% design and estimating contingency, or approximately 5.4 million. And this provides for additional flexibility as the design continues. Whereas on the other hand, for escalation, that is accounting for certain market conditions as the project continues forward. But collectively, when you look at it holistically, the project currently has about $10 million in combined contingencies. And for this phase of the project, this is standard and the appropriate risk for management of just risk management for a project at this stage, and to address certain types of uncertainties. The difference with, during kind of the aftermath of COVID, there was volatility in every element of construction, I think, in life. Right now, where there's volatility in certain commodities, I'd have to say that that's somewhat normal, because then in other commodities, it's level, it might be down. So it kind of balances itself out from year over year. There's a consistent increase in escalation. But the difference is that during COVID, everything increased. So from year to year, rather than having anywhere from 3 to 5%, we were experiencing percent increases in the teens and the low 20s for a couple of years consistent. So again, we have it built into the budget. So sorry to be repetitive, but again, the takeaway is that the project team continues to closely monitor the market conditions, and the current estimate includes the appropriate safeguards to manage future volatility as we move forward. At this point, I'd ask the committee to consider a motion. I'll read the motion. I just need a committee member to make the motion, as I can't make the motion. But the motion would be to authorize Dawn Whittier and Left Field on behalf of the town to submit the design development or DD submission as presented to the Mass School Building Authority.
So moved.
I'd second.
Second, discussion. Stephen?
Yeah, just for those of us who've not done many of these before, the 1.6% variance that you're showing on this particular screen, is that level of variance typical between the two for estimates? Is it particularly good, or is it particularly?
Very good. Very good. Yeah, if this was at a conceptual estimate, a schematic, I think anything under 3% that schematic is good. Sometimes you see it north, but 1.62% is pretty tight.
Any further discussion? Is there anybody with any raised hands at home?
Not seeing any.
Okay, last call for discussion from the committee. Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Absolutely. Diane Allen,
I approve.
Greg Bendel,
Yes.
Kate Bissell. Yes. Michael Camosio. Yes. Justin Boucher,
Yes.
Mary Ann Gillezzo,
yes,
Nick Golden,
Yes.
Steve Holloran,
Yes.
Dennis Kelly,
Yes.
William Maselli, Paul Malorani,
Yes.
Fred Minor,
Yes.
Christine Murray. Yes. Judy, you already motioned. Christine Pendergast. Yes. David Ragsdale,
Yes.
Stacy Scott,
Yes.
David Thompson,
Yes.
Stephen Turner,
Yes.
and I second the motion carried.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 4B on the agenda is for interior design. So at this time, I'd like to share that Dawn Whittier has continued to meet with Vivian Barabedian and others to assist with feedback in the ongoing development of the interior design. And at this time, I would kindly ask Vivian, can you please provide an update?
Absolutely. We met for virtually this time. We definitely had members of the school administration, other members from the school building committee as well, and participating, reviewing not only the interior color scheme as well as continuing and furthering the discussion on the certain materials that would be incorporated within the project, all of which Dennis Kelly was part of the conversations as well, and keeping a keen eye on not only durability, functionality, but still keeping it fun for the students and recognizing that this is an elementary school project. I think the Dora and Whittier team did an outstanding job in outlining the color palette and the growth progression from the youngest of learners moving up through the building into the older students. So with that, we did agree upon sharing a few key images. I think, and Ronnie, maybe you can also walk us through it unless you want to tag me in.
No worries, I'll jump in whenever you feel I missed something. So we have a bunch of concept slides to start off with. It's just a review. We have touched on all of this as we presented over just the last several months, but the interior design strategy, we use the idea of rope and rooting it in Wilmington's landscape and history. We wanted to make sure that we had a clear color and material strategy, which Vivian just touched on. Again, durability, maintainability, that was really important to make sure that this building is a facility that lasts in the community for years to come. And then just make sure that, you know, we had direction as we were making different selections. Next slide. These are some of the ideas in the framework, making sure that it's a welcoming space, you know, visually calm, age appropriate, very important in elementary school, keeping the spaces grounded, not only with durability of materials, but also not overly stimulating as well. Keeping a natural, peaceful space, and that happens with the colors as well as the material choices, and then the longevity, making sure that it's adaptable, flexible, and again, a lasting facility for the community for years. This is kind of for the interior framework as well. We looked at the building in performance levels, and we organized the building based on the idea of this tree concept. Level 1, which is your pre-K and K students, that's your roots and water. Level 2, which is grades 1 and 2, we think of them as the structure, the branching out of that like very playful nature of the lower level. And then when you get into level 3, it's canopy and actually looking outward, that these students are becoming more independent and eventually moving on to the middle school. And then these are some overall material strategies with different materials that we've touched on through the spaces, and we've worked through the interior group to review different material strategies. Again, very durable. Very happy to say that terrazzo is still in the project, both first and second floor. We don't have to worry about that. The base is linoleum flooring, very durable, doesn't need to be stripped every year, which really is from a maintenance standpoint is huge. And then looking at different surfaces for durability, having some certified finish or something like that, especially in high traffic areas. And then bringing in some playfulness, you'll see with potentially some graphics. So we'll be looking to further that as we move into the next phase. This is an overall plan of the first level. There's 2 more slides like this. This was as we were going through each meeting, reviewing the different materials for every space, as you can see. So all of the colors on the right-hand side represent flooring material, and then reviewing that. And I know we touched on this last time, so I won't go into this too much. Next slide is level 2, and then the third slide is level 3. So we'll share some imagery that we've been developing with the help and feedback of the interiors group. So first space is the cafeteria. So here you'll see this is a very large welcoming space, but we try very hard to make sure that students feel comfortable in space. Because at the end of the day, it's also their performance space. We have the platform that's connected to this cafeteria. And then on the left side, you'll see there's like a large expansive window, bringing natural light into the space. You have further in the back, you'll see the second story, which is the library, and being able to connect that into the cafeteria. And on that lower level is actually the administration and main entry. Next slide. This is just that view of the large window that outside you'll see the main entry plaza, and then lobby and main entry. and then the stairs leading up to the cafeteria.
Right. I'll have a question.
Can you just back up one slide? Did we change the lighting in there, or is that the same lighting?
No, we did change the lighting after much discussion.
Spirited discussion.
Yeah, so there's no leads. We simplified the space. Yeah. We have this linear, fixtures, and we tried to keep the fixture family the same throughout the building for ease of maintenance, in the future.
Thank you.
So to that point, and I know that Lil has a question as well. Can we just go back to the prior slide? Is the white portion running? Is that the light fixture?
Those are the light fixtures.
Okay, I assume that, but I just want to
Yes.
make it clear that that's what it is. Okay,
And we're still tweaking a lot of this, like, now we're doing lighting calculations to see, how high can we hang them? So are they within the lamp structure, or do they have to be a little bit lower? So, in this next phase, we'll be refining this even further. But we've been playing with just the light fixtures themselves and what they are, but.
okay, thank you. So Lil, I know that you have your hand, I'm gonna call on you, but I also just want to mention that there are two people that have their hands up at home. I see Diane Allen, but I can't see the other name revealed. So I'm gonna go to Lilia first, and then I'll go to the people at home.
Thanks, Judy. Just on the windows, I love, the natural light. Will they be kind of tinted on the outside, but you can see clear on the inside, or?
We're gonna be working on that to see, from a security standpoint.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
And so we've also have, the windows are treated for security purposes.
Okay.
As well. And we have that on the whole first level, of the building for security purposes. There is a canopy there. It is also, separated from the drive, so people would not just be driving by and they'll be able to view in. There's a decent distance, as well. And, so we're trying to balance out bringing in natural light, versus, the security portion of BBC.
And then just second question is, with the natural light coming in, sun, will there be shading and stuff?
Yes.
I don't know what part, but it's something like the sun's better. So-
Yeah, absolutely. So we have that large exterior canopy, so the whole bottom portion will naturally have some shading because of that. And the upper portion also would have shading structures as well. That could be operable, so that for performances, if there's a daytime performance, for example, those can be fully possible.
Okay, thank you.
All set?
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'd like to recognize Diane Allen, please.
Yes, hi. My question is, what is the distance of the knee wall from the floor up there? About how high is that?
I don't have the exact measurement, but I could get back to you on that.
About 2'6" ballpark.
I mean, are we talking like 2 feet or a foot or?
2 feet.
To the bottom of the windowsill of the
Okay.
cafeteria.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
if
Similar
I
to me.
speak a little slower, everybody just, when you're doing it online, I'm sorry, but I can't hear you. Go ahead.
Sorry, it's about between 2'6" and 3 feet. I don't have the exact measurement from the floor to the bottom of the windowsill.
Okay, thank you. And another question, has there been any thought given to, I don't want to say unbreakable glass, bulletproof glass in any part of this building, or especially an area like this where there is so many windows?
There is, Diane, that has been taken under review, and there is security glass around the entire first floor.
Okay, thank you. My questions have been answered. Thank you.
Thank you. So there's a second person that had their hand raised. Marian, sorry, the name wasn't revealed. It just said another person with a hand raised, so I apologize, Marian.
Oh, no problem. I just have concerns about the accordion wall. With the gym on the other side of it and the cafeteria on this side and using it as a stage, I can't believe that you're not going to hear the gym on the other side from the cafeteria and vice versa.
So, I mean, there's two pieces to this. What you're seeing in the picture, right, is just the stage curtains. And on the gym opening side, there is actually an acoustical partition that closes off. So it seals the noise transfer from the gym to the platform.
Okay, just out of curiosity, Lee, is there any other schools that you've done that you've put this acoustic wall in?
Yes, several. And so
Several?
we can give you some references to check and see how those have worked out.
Yeah, I would like to do that just before we go ahead, and I'd like to get some feedback of how that's working.
We have that noted, Marion. We're taking notes here to make sure that that happens.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anything further? You all set, Marion?
Yes, I'm all set.
Okay, so I'm going to recognize Paul Melorani, please.
You said security glass, can you define what security glass is?
Typically, we don't really go, Paul, into like the detail in public session about exactly what that glass is, but we have had many discussions both with public safety within town, as well as, you know, Dennis and others on the leadership team about the specificity of what level of security glasses on that. And so certainly happy to talk to you about that offline.
Thank you.
Anything further around the table? Any other hands raised at home?
Nope.
Okay, hearing none. So Ronnie, if you want to continue and move to the next slide. Thank you.
One more.
You can keep going. So the next space is the library. Reading room, updated lighting, the blue lamp structure you're seeing in the space. That's an update from previous. The other big update you'll see, and Craig, I don't know if you could point to it, there's now a dividing wall that can be utilized in this space to subdivide the library. After further discussion, often the space would be used by two classes simultaneously. And so to provide some acoustic separation in those situations, or say, for example, if there's professional development happening on one side and students are using it on the other side, to be able to subdivide the space, this divider has been included. So that's been one of the biggest changes, probably since you've seen this image last.
As well as the change from the material, there was a lengthy conversation on the type of finish for that acoustical accordion separation.
We had glazing in there, yes. So now it is an opaque dividing wall that can be opened and closed as needed. And this is a view from the other angle into the library space.
Yes, Stephen, thank you.
First of all, I love the idea. I love anything we can do to keep the library as a central important part of the school. I think it's a fantastic resource for every elementary school. The one question I have about the dividing wall is some of those come with doors in them. If memory serves, the library has two entrances. If you put a wall in between it for exit, is it okay to have that subdivided down that size depending on the number of students involved if there's a need to emergency exit? Or would some of those dividing walls actually have a door built into them?
Yes.
Is that something that I would have to allow for egress from either direction towards the other door?
Absolutely. So we always look at providing a door just from accessibility within the space, even for the librarian, for example, to be able to cross over if needed. And so we'll continue to look at exactly if that's in the accordion door panels itself versus bringing that door out that's always available.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
Next space is the gymnasium, I believe. There we go. So here we've updated the space. Now you can see more of the acoustical paneling. You have scoreboards on both sides so that they can run simultaneously for different events. Here you're seeing that acoustical wall at the platform is open, so you are seeing through, and that's like chair setup for performance, but typically that would be closed off for acoustical purposes. But you can see the space being multiple stations set up for different classes or PE time, after school activities. go to the next image. This is just another angle.
So Ronnie, not to interrupt you,
Sure.
but to interrupt you. The lighting in this space, is it clear where the lighting is and I just don't see it?
So we're working on the lighting in the space still.
Okay.
Ronnie, I noticed at the high school when we've had large events, they covered the floor with the blue mats, tarp, thank you. We have not talked about that. Is that something that would be built into the budget already?
It would be, it's included as loose furnishings, so it's the loose furnishing, so anything we're doing with tables and chairs and anything that's loose, that'll be incorporated in part of that budget, so that's yet to come, future bid.
Then the educational wings, this is a typical classroom. Now you'll have classrooms that you see on all 3 levels, adjusted slightly based on the age groups. But what we've done is we tried very, very hard to create parity between the spaces so that at any time, if one space needs to get shifted to another, that instructor in class can go into another space, it would be the same relative setup. That you can see in here, casework located around the room, 2 sinks that's required by MSBA. In the back corner, you'll see like a amoeba shaped table that's a small group board. Lots of storage, as much as we could, we tried to fit. And then the door on the left is going to a small group room. So if you go to the next slide. This is actually the extended learning area. This is an example. Obviously, these are spread out on all 3 levels. This one is specific to the pre-K area. So you see a lot more climbing structures, dramatic play, storybook reading. The intent of the space at many times of the year might be that they almost have indoor recess and the ability to move and run. So keeping it very flexible with the furniture. Is really important at this age level, but then also having opportunities to display work with the students as they're in the space and also use it for breakout spaces. Next slide.
Question from David.
So I think a moment ago you said that the MSBA requires 2 sinks. Is that every single classroom? Okay, like every grade level, or is that just elementary?
So the intent of that, part of the intent of that is at the lower grades, they wouldn't necessarily go separate to a STEM classroom or science classroom. So they want to be able to bring that opportunity in the individual classroom. When you get to the upper grades, like high school, they have science labs and very specific spaces for those. Here we have 1 STE room that is a special program in this building, but there's 1. And so just for all projects with MSBA now, that's a requirement to have the 2 sinks in every classroom space to be able to provide that opportunity.
It's a lot of sinks in the building. That's what I'm saying.
And one has to be handicapped, so so
There's a lot of reimbursement.
yes.
But a lot of good hand washing, so that's good.
Yeah, well, that's very important, especially at the younger age group, so. So this is a typical small group room, as I mentioned, so this is between every 2 classrooms, you'll find 1 small group room. It's accessed from the classroom spaces, the windows in the back, you can see into the spaces, that's allowing for supervision of the teachers that are in that space if they want to peek in, just to see how things are going. This is intended for one-on-one instruction or small group instruction. And the intent is really here is to not have a student have to leave their cohort to receive services. It's the opportunity to provide services closer to their cohort so that, it's more normalized. But more or less to not have to feel different and have to go somewhere else to receive services. So more inclusive.
So Ronnie, this is kind of a spot comment / question to some of the educational personnel that's here. But obviously, in 2026, schools are being designed differently than they were when I was in school, and perhaps some other people in the room. So, just to get it out there for the public that's viewing this, I'd like to hear from some of the educational folks that how, without getting into specificity, how some of these spaces are going to be used with windows. Is this appealing to you? And can you explain in today's modern education how these are going to be used? Because I think, it would be educational to people as taxpayers to know that the things that we're designing make sense for the educational program. It's a value-added amenity that we don't have, that we will have, and how it's going to be used, and what are the differentiated instructions and or services that we'll be able to provide that we can in today's facility. I think it's a worthy commentary to share.
Mary Ann, hi, this is Christine Holleran, the kindergarten teacher. When I had a chance to visit the schools when we went on tours, these rooms really stood out for me. I think it's a great idea to have in between two classrooms for the two teachers to share. So many reasons. Definitely, like you said, when a child is receiving special services, it's private for them to go into. For myself, when I'm doing any type of assessment with my children, and it's not an assessment that I need to do whole class and I want to do it privately with a few kids. Sometimes I just need a spot to go talk to children in a private way where the rest of the class doesn't need to hear me. And sometimes our kids just need their own breakout room, just a spot for them to kind of go in quietly and sit and relax and, take some time for themselves until they're ready to come back to the classroom. So for me, it's something I'm looking forward to, and I think it's going to get utilized in many, many ways.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes,
Sure, I can say, thinking even just in this week alone, and I can only speak for the Wildwood, obviously, but we're in the midst of some assessments for the whole building. And we have our reading specialists and math interventionists who are doing one-on-one assessments with every student. And they are taking the time to walk from the classroom to their space, to the classroom, to their space for each student. The efficiency we would gain by having a space like this for assessments alone, they would probably take a third of the amount of time because they take 5 to 8 minutes per student, but the walk time is so great. We have students who receive a variety of special education services, but I'm thinking in particular of our speech articulation students who get 5-minute sessions. And rather than having to do that in the hallway or take 10 minutes to walk to the office and back again, this is the perfect location for that. Counselors and some of our educational assistants and various staff do check-ins and check-outs with students each day. As Christine mentioned, some students just need a 2-minute reset break. For all of those reasons, I think these spaces will be extremely beneficial.
Thank you. Stephen?
What she said.
I find that to be helpful for me. I mean, I've taught at the junior high and high school level, but I have not spent time with the youngest learners and how, this instructional environment, certainly evolved from showing my age, but it was different. I went to pre-K through 12 here, and it didn't look like this.
And I don't want to speak for the Woburn Street or the North, but I can say I'm in the West every day, which is the same age range. And, I walk by students who are doing reading together, sitting in the hallway with a partner, reading novels. And again, this is an opportunity for them to do that in a space that's not the hallway, but is a space that's adjacent to their classroom. They're still able to be supervised by their teaching staff, but it is accessible and more of a workspace than a place in the hallway that has traffic continuously walking by.
Thank you for that. Yes.
Thank you very much. So I guess we're looking at this space. First of all, I want to say all of that input is so valuable. When I look at these windows, are these like very much on point with the size that we would be expecting in the current design? Because I'm wondering, are we able to thread the needle between the other kids ogling the kids that are in the room versus the teacher who's in that space being able to line to the kids that are in there and then the additional staff back into the room? Sure. There's kind of a thread to find them. It's gonna be too big. They're all like, Jimmy's in there.
Yeah. So there'll be window treatments on here, so if needed, they can close them. And then the other thing is these are located in those back nooks of the room where those amigo tables were. So often there's an instructor there and they're working with students at that table outside of that. So students wouldn't necessarily be hanging out in that location, if you will. So they're intentionally on those sides of the room versus being facing the classroom side where the teaching long student desks are.
Yeah. So if I just want to restate that, so for clarity, so it's in a space where the rest of the kids aren't sitting there. Right. They're able to see from those seats, and really the teacher would have to purposefully walk to that side of the classroom to then peek in. Right. Thank you.
Right, you have that other classroom picture where one of them you kind of showed where where that room was, and you can see kind of just where the teacher was, where all the kids were.
Yeah, so the window, like, so where the instructor in the purple shirt, to the left would be the wall that window is on, and it's. Okay, and then the door on the left, on the very left, is into that space.
Thank you.
Just to add to that, the feedback we've heard, right, because we've been putting these in for years, and I think when we initially set them up and the students are all excited, it's a new school, it's a new thing, and they haven't had this before, there is some of that, right? Like, what's going on in there? But we do find the feedback that we hear is, after a short amount of time, it is just part of the process. And they kind of, get used to the routine, and we don't hear about that. Although, as Ronnie mentioned, there is kind of window treatments on there, but it is, like you said, it's kind of threading the needle between passive supervision to make the space useful, and also not to have it so it's like you're in a glass box display. Thank you.
And
Yes.
as Kate and Christine mentioned, we have a lot of service providers that come to do services. We have consultants come into the school. So this really provides, as Ronnie said, an inclusive environment for students to be able to be educated alongside their peers, but by getting extra service delivery kind of on site there. So I think this is a fabulous opportunity. I think it looks great. You guys did a wonderful job. And I'm really looking forward to this for our students to be able to access the curriculum in a way that they're with their peers and with their teachers. We have a lot of spaces now that are not conducive to this environment. So as we've been planning this process and looking at, students being serviced in locker rooms and in the hallways, as Kate mentioned, this is really great for Wilmington. So
Thank you very much. Thank you. Back to you, Ronnie. Thank you, sir.
I think we have one last slide. The teacher collaboration space. So there is a teacher collaboration space located on one on each level, understanding that there's at least 30 educators on each floor. This is a space for them to be able to gather, plan together. And also there is, an adult restroom, there is what we call a wellness room that can be used for lactation, private phone calls, medicine, if needed. And here again, we also have a dividing wall, so the space can be subdivided so that if professional development or a team meeting is happening on one side, that other educators can still access the space on the other side. So we have one on each floor. They're very central to the academic wings and are for the educators. So those are the updates that we have so far. We've been working with the interiors group to confirm a lot of the finishes in these spaces. And the reason that we focus on the finishes is because that dictates what happens in the estimate. And so we're carrying that for cost purposes. And in the next set of meetings, we'll start to look at refining colors more. And then, eventually we'll work at furniture and layup, all the loose furnishings, if you will. And then the other piece that will happen in the next phase as well is also really honing in on the technology that needs in each of these spaces, as well as any security hardware needs.
Thank you. Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you to the Doran Whittier team. Sorry. Yes. Sorry.
Sorry, real quick, and you don't even have to go back to the slide. Going back to the gymnasium, I saw bleachers on one wall. Can you speak to that, and can you talk to us about capacity, for seating capacity in the gymnasium?
Sure. So the gymnasium, there are telescoping bleachers, so they can open and close on the one side. And that's so if the gym was subdivided, you would still be able to use it. And the capacity in the bleachers is about 650.
Anything further?
That's it.
Okay. Okay. And yes. Sorry, I want to apologize. I'm trying to see how everybody.
I have a question to come. So the question is, well, hopeful, or are we going to see renderings of the spaces where students are receiving PTOG services? Are we going to get a render of basically every space before we're through? Is my question.
We'll be working to update the renderings. I think that there's specific ones that am very interested and will like to try to do this earlier.
So sure, I would say I would love to see a rendering of the spaces where, so right, as Christine was saying, you know, I've toured some of these locker rooms where the kids are getting PTOT. I would like to see what they're going to look like in the new school, because that's really important to me and a lot of parents. And then a point of comment, way back at the start, we don't have to go back and start the slideshow, but the color scheming, I first of all, tree metaphor is great. For the littlest kids, I think roots of water metaphorically great, but it was like blue, gray, and like bluish grayish. And I think maybe just like an additional spark of color there for the pre-K kids might be nice. Maybe the furniture will have that, but you know, that was the thought. So,
Yeah, if I may, we did have lengthy conversations in regards to the color, not necessarily the entire color palette, because that was primarily introduced by the Doran Whittier team, but there's tons of opportunities for graphics that will help incorporate that. But also, I think what we were hearing from the administration was the need to keep it more subdued and a little bit more calming versus that vibrancy constantly coming through where it can be overstimulating. So striking a balance between finding some graphics that have a little bit of punch and not forgetting that a lot of the spaces, especially in the hallways, will have arts projects, finger paintings displayed on those areas that are from the kids that will automatically and naturally add warmth and color and movement to the space too. So keeping the background more neutral in hopes that their work will be the shine and the star.
that really is my concern. Thank you.
If I can just revisit back to Mr. Millerani's question regarding the 650 on the bleachers. How does that relate to the bleacher capacity in the high school building? Is that comparable to the bleacher setup? That's, you don't may not have the answer, but what is the total capacity in the room?
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head, it was a while ago, but we should possibly similar.
Proportionate to that,
Right,
I would assume, and then total capacity, including the floor space, if there was to be a public meeting there, how many?
950.
950.
Okay,
So just to put it, because I figured you were trying to figure out.
I just want to make sure it's not for home and visiting.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions around the table? Anything? Okay, all right, perfect. So Ronnie, thank you very much for that. I just wanted to comment that the draft of those slides were included in the meeting packet that was distributed last Friday. And then in addition to the working on the interior design that's been discussed, in the DD submission, Doran Whittier has also made a pair of regulatory submissions I wanted to highlight. So on Wednesday, March 11th, there was a submission of a package to the planning board for the groundwater special permit. And on Thursday, March 12th, there was a submission of the notice of intent, otherwise referred to as the NOI, to the Conservation Commission. So I wanted to just let this, really know that. So moving on to item number 5, which is a public engagement update. So as a follow-up to the question that was raised at a previous committee meeting from an abutter, the town and the project team have some additional information to share in response to 2 specific inquiries. There was a question raised about the trucks that were observed on the North Intermediate property around what we believe to be in late December and early January, specifically the December 24th through January 2nd, 3rd timeframe. The second inquiry was related to a reported odor that was observed by the neighborhood residents on the day of the day that the test pits were performed. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to David Sangden. After thorough research internally with the town as well as with the project team, we have some prepared information to share with the committee and with people that are here and listening at home. So David.
Thank you, Judy. So as Judy indicated, there was a lot of communication with the project team and town administration. Town administration contacted other town departments to review the inquiry regarding the trucks entering and exiting the property. And based on the information gathered with the correspondence and with the DPW, test pits were conducted on December 23rd, 2025. And then there was related restoration work associated with the test pits completed in the early January timeframe. These activities required various trucks coming on and off the property that were associated with the test pits and the subcontractor that performed said work and the DPW supporting those operations. And just please note that the town will project at this point is maintaining a daily log of individual truck activities unless it's required for a specific regulatory purpose. And then regarding the odor observed, so test pits were dug as part of the project's continued geotech and environmental due diligence. That said, test pits were done near the wetlands or in areas where there's old organic or swampy soils. And that essentially accounts for the temporary rotten egg smell. I received an extremely highly technical response, which I somewhat recalibrated for tonight. So in wetland areas, soils are often saturated with water for long periods. And when the soil stays like that, natural bacteria will break down the organic material in low oxygen environments and can produce hydrogen sulfide. The gas has a strong rotten egg odor when it's disturbed. So such as digging, it's being disturbed and the trap gas now is released into the air. Eventually the smell is temporary, it fades, it gets dissipated. And when, the material is not disturbed anymore, then it's somewhat, the smell is capped. So that is my best conversion of a highly scientific explanation we received.
Yes, Mr. Miller.
Through you, Madam Chair. David, so what are the residents in for when we start to get into the ground there? Like what types of odors, duration, et cetera?
So as part of the project, we're really not, we're staying away from the wetlands.
Okay.
So I can't predict the future, but I would say that it should not be the same smell that was experienced with the test pits.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to item number 6, which is discussion, correspondence, and new items. So I want to just share that the environmental site assessment report will be available on the project website, along with other existing condition investigation reports that are included in the DD submission. And it will be, they will be out there a few days after the March 20th submission. So I wanted to share that with everybody. I also want to turn it over to Craig to kindly ask you to comment on the automated email notification.
Yep, thanks, Judy. So we had mentioned to the committee a few months ago that Leftfield and Cumming Group were in the process of merging as a company. Part of that was our IT systems integration, which took place, I think, 3 weeks ago. And a result of that was anybody who was in any group that we had created got one of these emails up here. You don't need to take any action on it. It was pointed out to us, and we sent an email around to the committee just saying, hey, you don't have to do anything special, but we just want to mention it here in case anyone else was like, what's going on with this? So that's all there.
Thank you. So item number 7 is committee questions. Now I'm going to open the floor to questions and comments from committee members. Yes, Stephen.
So one of the things that's come up recently, or come to mind recently, is related to both cell phones and also walkie-talkies. One of the things that building will have, we mentioned security glass and these sorts of things, and also other aspects of the building to deal with sound and is there a team subcontractor as part of the project that will evaluate all of the spaces in the building for both cell phone and walkie-talkie? I know, I understand that a lot of times teachers out at recess would have walkie-talkies with them if they needed the nurse to come. They need that communication to get into the building. And then certainly cell phones at different points in time, particularly useful and important. We know that some buildings can have issues with cell phone signals. And so is there somebody that will review before we get even into the construction phase for likely issues so we can address them before the building's sealed and completed?
So I would just say to you that during our leadership calls, we have already begun that discussion front and center. You're very timely with that question, and it is of utmost importance and concern to the entire team regarding cell phone coverage and adequate communication with police and fire, as well as within the building for school personnel. So it's very timely. We have a full layout to discuss with you exactly what we're going to do, the answer is no. I would also defer to David Sangden and to Lee Dora and Ronnie to talk if they want to add any more color to those conversations that we've had, but we're just getting started with that whole part of the project.
Sure, well aware of the situation. It's very common. Certainly, probably face it in this building as well. We haven't got the system completely designed. There is a consultant on board that is evaluating that from a cost estimating standpoint. We have covered repeaters for walkie-talkie service for safety and security of staff. And we've also included costs for repeaters for the three major cellular carriers, also in the building too.
Awesome, thank you.
David, do you have anything?
No, it's gonna say exactly what Lee indicated, and that what we've experienced in a lot of projects is that, as Lee indicated, that there could be a consultant that can do an estimate and make some assumptions. But once the roof is on, like the exterior shell is complete, there's entities that can come in with equipment and kind of test every area and then figure out what the real scope will be. So they could be a order of magnitude of $200,000 to have cell phone coverage in the entire building as an estimate to have like ubiquitous coverage. But once the building is constructed, that 200,000 could be 150, it could be 250, it's gonna fluctuate. So the testing has to get done once the envelope is done.
Yeah.
But the project team, we talked about it, we've seen this movie. As Lee says, it's very repetitive in the industry.
And speaking of that, just building an example, and even a senior something, when you're building and we're in the construction meetings all the time, and you're using your cell phone to get reception, and then as you start closing it in with windows and doors and then put the mechanical on the roof, that's where a lot of your interference comes from too. So you may have better communication until you get close to the end, and that's when it really shows that there's a bigger issue.
And just being transparent, in the last finance committee meeting, I'm sure the public has heard that we had an additional $75,000 spend for this particular building that was just approved, and all of the due diligence was done. I can get cell phone reception anywhere in the building. Eric Slagle has to basically hang out his window to make a phone call, like legit, he has to stand at the window, but he has a different carrier than I do. So it depends. So lessons learned, and that's been front and center to this conversation. The footprint of that building is going to be exponentially more than this. So we're taking, all of that into consideration as we move forward, and obviously wanting to be prudent on cost. But we absolutely know that we need to have communication that's appropriate for that building. Anything else? Yes.
So earlier in the report that when we got the cost estimate, you were saying that it was on budget and also on schedule, that the original schedule is still holding. Can you remind me when we're planning to break ground? We have the last day of school, June 22nd. Right now, God willing, there are no more snow days. So right now, kids are out of the building on June 22nd. When are we going to break ground?
Fontaine is mobilizing roughly the 3rd or 4th week of June, but the gentleman to your right can get into a little more finite detail.
Yeah, the game plan is to hit the ground running as soon as school's out. Right, so it'll be a kind of a slow start, getting the site established, like fence going. So not a ton of activity that last week of June and little July. Being plans to get out there so we can really get ahead in July.
So in terms of an official groundbreaking, that has been brought up as well, but we have not, identified a suggested date range. But if anyone has any questions or comments or concerns relative to that, feel free to share that.
Sorry. Last time.
Sorry.
I just want to go back to the minutes, the 4A section of the minutes when we talked about the executive summaries. I appreciate the MSBA submission executive summary. And I think what triggered that discussion in the last meeting was the traffic study. And I'm wondering if it is not too much to ask to prepare an executive summary of that traffic study. I think that's something that we need to talk about, and so that everybody, the residents, this committee knows what we're talking about and the impact this is going to have. I don't want that just to come out of nowhere at some time. I think we should be talking about this all the way through.
Very good point, and certainly we can take that. And in addition, I just wanted to, and I know you know this, but just for the benefit of people that are listening, I certainly also would like to have a conversation with Jamie McGalvey to see if he can possibly be added to the agenda, because I want to just highlight to people that are here and listening at home that there's a portion of the traffic mitigation that is going to be outside of the scope of this project.
That's right.
And we have more updates on that. We're also working with our delegation for some earmark funding for that as well. So I think it's two-pronged in terms of discussion points and give the town piece as well, so that people understand the whole totality of the situation. So if I can just kindly ask that we take it back and refine our deliverables back to you when it's appropriate, and it will absolutely be included in a future meeting. That's all.
Yes, absolutely.
Anything further around the table? Anybody at home that's raising a hand that I can't see? Please.
Think if they raised a hand, it would pop back up.
Okay.
I seem to put this too far.
Okay, so I will bring the committee questions to a close. Okay, thank you. Moving on to item number 8, which is public comments. I do see that Mr. DiPaolo had moved around the room to circulate a sign-in sheet. So we're just kindly asking any member of the public that wishes to speak to please make sure that you've signed in, just so that we can have a record of who's speaking this evening. Before I open it up to public comments, I wanted to just share that there is a direct abutter notice that will be forthcoming. Falvey Associates has been retained by Fontaine Brothers, the construction manager for the new Wilmington Elementary School project, in coordination with the town of Wilmington to conduct pre-construction surveys in advance of construction activities at the North Intermediate School. As an abutting property owner or a nearby property owner identified to receive a survey, you are being offered a complimentary pre-construction survey of your property at no cost. The survey will include video documentation of the interior and exterior conditions of walls, ceilings, foundations, and other visible areas of the property. The purpose of this survey is to establish a record of existing conditions prior to the start of construction activities. Neighbors may have already received a letter from Falvey Associates via certified mail with instructions on how to coordinate directly with their team to schedule the survey. Participation is entirely voluntary. Again, participation is entirely voluntary. You may choose to have an interior only or an exterior only survey performed, or you may opt out of the survey altogether. So at this time, I will now open the floor to public comments and questions. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is Peter Rudik. I am a grandparent of potential students coming into this school, living here in Wilmington. I recently retired from Copeland, which is a big HVAC player in the US. And I'm very active in the Association of HVAC Engineers, which since COVID has started to pay really attention to health issues. As part of that, there have been now some major studies done, particularly in Colorado and Nebraska, on health in schools. And based on the results of those surveys, which involved thousands of classrooms and, looking at the relationship between the actual level of pollution, particularly PM, fine dust, in the schools and health, absenteeism and stuff like that. A new consortium has been set up by ASHRAE to look into health in schools. And my reason to be here tonight is that I can be a resource for this committee, for people here looking at HVAC, but also printed materials. There are some companies like Knauf involved in what materials might cause certain respiration issues and stuff like that. The objective of the consortium is to have more data-driven decisions made on what actually contribute to health in schools. So measuring what's going on, not just in terms of air quality in each of the rooms, but which is now possible with sensors. I mean, we have all these things around us now, but also actual health effects. So we're talking to people who, okay, these kind of things, so that we can actually monitor what's going on with individuals. And it's meant as a resource. We understand there are sometimes costs involved in those things. We have good contacts with both the manufacturers and with public institutions, so we can help with that as well. Main reason that this school I'm here is my grandkids. Nothing else. So, you know, but if there is an interest in this, you can contact me. It's Peter, Luttik, and my email is peter@luttik.nl. NL is Netherlands, that's my accent.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anything further? Yes, sir.
Just the bulletproof glass, because I didn't think about those things, unfortunately. Is that common in Massachusetts to build schools with bulletproof glass nowadays, or is that, so what would be the percentage?
It's common for most new school construction to have some level of security, and most of that isn't publicly released for security reasons about what levels they are. And certainly here we've had lots of discussions internally as a team and with public safety. And as far as your question, like what percentage of schools, I would say probably close to 90% of new construction has some level of security provisions built into glass.
Like a kill level bulletproof or less of that different areas?
It's hard to pin that down just because it's not public information.
Thank you. Anything further? Yes.
I was wondering about where the location of the blasting might be, where there's ledge in that area, where is it exactly? You know,
I'm not aware of any
Oh.
planned blasting or
why
ledge.
would you do a pre-blasting survey?
Oh, it may be called, or maybe some people might have referred to it as a pre-blast survey. But it's really a pre-construction survey. It is simply just a survey. There's no blasting.
It's more like a home inspection.
Yeah.
A home observation,
Right.
just to document
In
existing
the course of
conditions.
construction, it's best practice. We do it on schools, you know, or other projects that have abutting properties that are in close proximity. And it's really meant to establish the existing condition, right? So that if there are any, you know, concerns, if things that come up during construction, that we have a good record before construction starts of the condition of it. Right, so homes obviously naturally age, and things move over time, so we just want to keep the record. So that if there are any issues related to construction, they're clearly construction related reimbursement.
Okay, and is there blasting planned at all during this?
Yeah, I would say as of now, I'm not off the top of my head familiar with any presence of ledge that we're anticipating lasting for. Obviously, as you begin digging in the ground, you can run into things that, and there's been, you know, a reasonable amount of geotech investigation done as there would be. If we were to run into a situation with saying blasting required, that would go through a whole separate notification process of any homes within X distance.
The term pre-blast, what you might be referring to is that if there were to be blasting, as David indicated, that falls under a certain regulation that's administered by the fire department, and that is actually called a pre-blast survey, and that survey has to go out 250-foot radius. But that's if you're doing blasting operations, which this project is not. And that is actually called a pre-blast survey.
So there hasn't been anything that I have seen or read or even has been discussed publicly or privately regarding any sort of blasting.
Just.
I didn't get the letter, so.
So when we have the copy of the letter and there's nothing that references blasting, it only references pre-construction.
But just so you know, that Falvey is the firm that we engage on projects where we are doing blasting, and there's that next level of care required. He's the same firm. Great job. This is kind of his main core business. He's worked with us routinely, so we're confident in his approach.
Anything further? Yes.
So the smell from the holes that were dug, it was sulfur?
Correct.
Correct.
from just the ground in general?
Just from it's hydrogen sulfide, and it's just, it just naturally occurs when there's soil that is wet for a long period of time. Yeah.
Cause the wetlands, I don't think are near my property, but it smells. I mean. Just, so the ground in general then?
In that area where they're digging, there were multiple test pit areas, so it could have produced, more of an odor, and certainly, smell does travel. So it's hard to
I'm talking
contain it.
about a hole that was 10 feet from my fence that smelled. So is that from wetlands or is it from the ground in general?
I can't specifically comment about a hole that was 10 feet away from your property.
But definitely naturally occurring.
Correct. Correct, according to the report.
Well, I can tell you it was 10 feet from my property. Are you questioning it or are you?
I'm not questioning it. I'm just saying I
There's no question.
I
It was the
can't.
hole that was dug, like a board little. It wasn't like the big hole from the other side of the field. It was like I don't know.
So according to the report, it was naturally occurring. There were no environmental concerns of anything beyond what has been described. So there's no questioning that there was a hole that was dug near your property or that there was a smell. We absolutely acknowledge that.
But definitely not hazardous.
According to the
No.
report, it is not considered to be hazardous smell.
Was it tested for hazardous though?
There's going to be a series of reports that will be posted on the district's website. You're happy to look at any of those reports.
What reports?
There's various reports that will be included as part of the design development submission. And you're happy to review any and all of the reports you'd like.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of luck finding them. I just found the reports you were talking about there. The executive summary reports. So I just found them. It's not easy to find the stuff on the website that you're talking about for me.
So certainly I can send you an email and point you to where they are, and I can assist you to do that. Certainly, I'd be happy to do that.
That sounds good.
Absolutely. And there's additional reporting that's going to be posted just after March 20th that has some additional reports. So I'm happy to take a note to send you a direct personal email from my work address that could direct you when that has been uploaded.
Yeah, because Shelley Newhouse,
Yes.
said there was gonna be a report out.
Correct.
On these tests and.
That's right. That's what I'm
Is that what you're
referencing.
talking
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, so I am gonna get a copy of it.
I'm going to send you the link to direct you where to get it, and then you can pull it down. There's several pages, so it's not because I'm not willing to help you, but to send 2,700 pages over email, it's not gonna make it through the server. So I'm gonna send you an embedded link that will point you to where you need to go to get it. And I've talked with Shelley directly as well. She contacted me when you contacted her, so I've been talking to her as well. So certainly I can get you any and all reports that you would like.
Yeah. And I address something that's bothering me since like before the vote. With Christine Prendergast.
No, I'm not, what I'm gonna respectfully ask is that we're not gonna debate. I understand that there may have been previous comments that might have hurt your feelings or that you didn't think were appropriate. But I am not gonna entertain a debate between.
Is this her deal with the turn on?
She has a nameplate in front of her, but I would just kindly,
Yeah.
correct, but she's at the table, that is correct, but I'm kindly asking for you to refrain.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah.
You can speak outside of the meeting.
With
So-
Christine?
If
If she chooses to have a conversation with you, that's fine, but I would kindly ask that I'm not gonna foster a debate between the two of you at this
Yeah,
time.
no, it's not a debate. I just think it's an insensitive comment to ask me how I'm dealing with emissions when I live so close to the highway. When I'm trying to voice my concerns about the emissions from the pickup line that are gonna be right near my property. Yes, 10 feet, 10 feet.
So Karen, what I was kind of, so what I.
It's insensitive, someone to ask me how I'm dealing
So
with
what I would,
emissions because I live so close to the highway.
and what I would just say.
It was inappropriate and it deserves an apology.
Okay, so Karen, I'm not gonna get into the personal dynamics.
I'm
with
just
social-
saying.
I understand that, but
I
what
don't
I,
need to get into it anymore. I have now said what's been bothering me. She knows she's wrong and she shouldn't have said it.
With all due respect, I'm gonna kindly ask you to refrain with a public debate with a committee member, okay? I understand, I'm not gonna tell you how to think and feel,
I'm
but
not
that,
living over
I
there.
understand that, but I'm speaking now, and I would like, and I'm speaking now, and I would like to respond to you. That conversation took place in a social media forum, which is outside of this committee meeting.
Now I'm here.
Okay? And I understand that, but
To my face,
I
I'm
understand.
here.
But this is,
Talk to me
this
in
is not,
person.
this is not the.
Don't say that shit on.
Right, with all due respect, I would kindly ask that you refrain from foul language as well, because
That's what
people, there are
That's
people
what
in.
students do, they do it
Karen,
online like that.
Karen,
I'm sorry,
I'm
it's
kindly
bothering me.
I'm
And
kindly
I'm not gonna have someone say that to me. When I live over here and have to go through this entire project. I can't move.
Miss Kenny,
Okay,
what I would
I'm
kindly
just
ask is
saying.
for you to refrain from speaking.
Thank you,
I would
I'm
ask-
done, thank you,
Okay.
thank you,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Anything further?
No.
Hearing none. Okay, moving on. So at this time, I'd like to just share with the committee and the public that the next building committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, April 14th at 6:30. It will be here at Town Hall and it will be in this room, okay? So at this time, I would entertain, if there's no other business, yes. So what's that? Yes, motion has been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Diane Allen,
Yes.
Greg Bendel,
Yes.
Kate Bissell,
Yes.
Michael Demosio,
Yes.
Justin Couche,
Yes.
Mary Ann Gilleto,
Yes.
Nicholas Golden,
Yes.
Christine Holleran,
Yes.
Dennis Kelly,
Yes.
Lilia Maselli, Paul Malorani,
Yes.
Craig Minor,
Yes.
Christine Murray,
Yes.
Judy O'Connell,
Yes.
Christine Pendergast, David Ragsdale,
Yes.
Stacy Scott,
Yes.
David Thompson,
Yes.
Stephen Turner,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Have a great night, everybody.